Hello and welcome back to In the Corner. I'm Cash. Today is Friday, June 27th. We're here with episode 65. And, we've got a really, really fun weekend of combat sports coming up. And we're just going to talk about it. It starts really in just a few hours here. And yeah, so we've got some fun fights. We have two pay-per-views tomorrow night, which we're going to start talking about. We have Jake Paul versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in Anaheim. And then in Vegas, we have got Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira at UFC 317. And we're going to start with that. So this is a fight that's been very, very hyped up for a while now. Obviously it was meant to be, was it going to be Ilia versus Islam or Ilia versus Charles? After Bilal lost the title to JDM, Islam is going to move up to 170 pounds, and the 155-pound title will be left vacant. Ilia Topuria moving up and will face Charles Oliveira for it. And this is a fight that I think has gotten everyone really excited because you do have Charles Oliveira, who's one of the biggest fan favorites in the UFC. I mean, everybody loves him. He's one of the most exciting fighters. And then you have Ilia Topuria, who's this legend slayer, who's just coming in and, he's undefeated, he's young, and he's taking out everyone. And it's very, very impressive. So this is a big worry, I feel, for a lot of fans of DeBronx because it's kind of like, okay, this is the killer that's been coming for everyone. Now he's at 155, and now he's going to go straight for Charles Oliveira. He does this, he becomes a two-time UFC undisputed champion, which got to be one of the fastest to ever do it. Insanely impressive. But I mean, he's just one of these guys who I don't like using the term manifesting and stuff, but he does just kind of say stuff into existence. Every time he says it, like with the Max Holloway, nobody was really in full support of him. Everybody was obviously knew that he was it was a 50-50 fight going in, but he's talking about I'm going to knock him out. I'm going to finish him like nobody else has. And it's just like, yeah, right. And he did that. He's done everything he said he's going to. And just the picture of him with the two belts is ever getting everyone like, oh no, like it's going to happen. And man, it's just crazy. But here we are. Fight is tomorrow. As for who wins, it's one of those things where it's like heart says Charles, mind says Ilya. I have to think that I'm favoring Ilya here. While I do think that it's going to be, a tough fight, it's hard for me to even say that just the way that he dealt with Volk so easily, and he finished Max pretty easily. It's kind of like, I don't know. I think that Ilya is going to put on another insane performance tomorrow. Granted, this is a new weight class for him. I was saying that Charles Oliveira's weight cut's been very, very tough, as it usually is. And Ilya looks not that much different. He looks a little bit bigger, maybe, a little bit more filled out, but not much. I don't know how much he's really struggling with his weight. But I don't know, man. I have to think that Ilya is going to do something crazy tomorrow night. And I hate to say that because, he is this guy who's taking out all the GOATs and fan favorites and stuff, but I'm going with Ilya for the win. I don't want to call it, but I do think he may finish him, if I'm being honest. I really do. I don't know, man. He's just so dangerous, and he's so precise and powerful and effortlessly talented. And I don't know, man. Even though Oliveira is as well, and Oliveira has tons of strengths and is always, makes it a war. It's just kind of, I don't know, man. I'm picking Ilya to win this, but not super confident. I think this is like a 65-35, 60-40 fight in his favor. But we'll see. Is it going to be, two-time champ or two division champ, or is Charles Oliveira going to get the belt back? We'll see. Also on that card, co-main event, you've got Alexandre Pantoja defending his flyweight crown against Kai Kara-France. A very fun fight. Kara-France deserves this title. She's been waiting for it for a while. Not a lot else for Pantoja to fight, so I don't mind this bout one bit at all. I do think that Pantoja is going to win. I think Pantoja is so far ahead of the rest of the division. He's like number 10 in the pound-for-pound rankings, which is just criminal. He should be like top 5. And yeah, as much as I do like Kai Kara-France and he has upset potential, I just see Pantoja putting on another great performance. Also on the card, Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van. That's actually a number 1 contender fight for the title. So the winner of that will be the next challenger for Pantoja's crown. Obviously, it was meant to be Brandon Royval versus Manel Kape. Kape got injured, and now it's Van stepping in, who just fought a few weeks ago, and he's already, back in. He's ranked number 12, and is a huge opportunity for him. And again, he's one of the best prospects in the UFC right now. Definitely the best in the flyweight division. And so it's kind of hard to say, like, okay, do we think that he is going to, come in here and keep on winning because he's jumping up the levels a lot. That's one that it's kind of hard to say who I think is win. The odds are so close. Brandon Royval is minus 102. Van is minus 118. I'm not even really sure who that makes the favorite. I guess is it Royval? I'm not sure, but it's such a close fight, and I'm so curious how it's going to go. Part of me thinks Van may actually be able to pull this off, which would be nuts if he gets. I don't even think that he was ranked for his last fight, or at least he was at the bottom of the rankings. If he goes from that to getting a title shot this year, that would be insane. But it really is possible, and it just depends on the kind of Royval we get in there, and how Van is doing, having fought 3 weeks ago and stepping up the level. So that's a very intriguing fight at 125 pounds. Another lightweight fight on the card, Beneil Dariush and Renato Moicano finally fight. Another one very close odds. This should be an interesting. I'm not really sure who's going to win this one because Moicano, obviously, I would have said he was my favorite last time out when they were meant to fight in January. Then he gets finished by Islam. So I do kind of want to lean in his favor. Dariush obviously hasn't fought in like a year and a half. Last time he fought was a loss to Arman Sarukian. So neither one are in the best position right now, but they are both, number 9 versus number 11 in the lightweight division. So I'm not sure who I give this one to. I'll probably lean towards Moicano, but Dariush seemed pretty put together. So we'll see what happens, but that one should be fun. And then opening up the main card somehow is Peyton Talbot versus Felipe Lima. Peyton Talbot actually the underdog in this fight after his loss to Raoni Barcelos in January. Interesting that he's on the main card now after being on the prelims of that card, and this is a really tough fight. Felipe Lima is 14-1. Peyton Talbot is 7-1. So, oh wait, no, sorry, he's 9-1. Excuse me. I was reading his record wrong. But yeah, so he's 9-1 versus 14-1. This is a really, really nice fight. I want to say Peyton Talbot's going to win that one because I don't think that he looked bad against Barcelos. I think that he was just kind of overmatched too quick. I'm not too familiar with Lima, but we'll see. If they're throwing him in the deep end again, then it could really hurt one of their potential big stars. Prelims, nothing too crazy. Jack Hermanson versus Gregor Rodriguez. RoboCop returns. That should be kind of fun. I'd lean towards RoboCop in that one. Vivian Araújo versus Tracy Cortez. Top 10 women's flyweight bout. Tracy Cortez, I would pick to win that one. Terrence McKinney returns as well. He's been posting on like Twitter and stuff with every other UFC star there. I bet he'll get a good win. And yeah, not a ton. There's only 2 prelims going on. Jacoby Smith is a huge favorite over Nico Price, minus 2,100. So something crazy should happen there. But I don't know. I'm excited for this card. There's definitely a lot of fights that are weird to be on an International Fight Week card, and it does feel like it's missing something. But overall, I still think it's pretty decent. The other pay-per-view we have this weekend is for a boxing card that's not put on by Realties and is very stacked. And I mean that both in that there's some great fights on it, and there's something for everybody on the card, but also that there's a lot of fights on the card. They're going to have 5 hours worth of prelims. That's right. The main card starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. The prelims start at 3 p.m. Eastern, which is actually 12 p.m. there. It's on the West Coast, so it's 12 p.m. is when the fight starts, which is nuts. And looking at their poster, I don't even know if they're broadcasting all the fights because they only had 10 fights put up on the flyer, where Scrappy Ramirez's fight, which maybe he's not fighting anymore, and Naomi Valle as well. They're both supposed to be fighting on Saturday, and they weren't put on that flyer. But I don't know. I'm really excited for this card. This should be Jake Paul's toughest test, and I don't know. I don't say that super confidently just because I feel like so often it's just I don't know. I feel like so often we get an opponent for him and we're told this is going to be his toughest challenge, and it's not, and he does it more easily. And sometimes it's because we don't know how that fighter is going to end up in the ring, and sometimes that's because yeah, it is his toughest challenge, just that he had a tougher time with Tyron Woodley, for example, or Tommy Fury, because that was earlier in his career and he wasn't as fine-tuned as he is now. So, maybe he steps in the ring with Tommy Fury today, he beats him, which I think is very possible. I don't know if I would say he will, but I think it's possible. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. here, is one of those guys who's been just had this career where it's been like if he really, locked in, if he was really disciplined, he should be able to win. And that's what everybody's saying. If Chavez is taking this seriously and he's in a good headspace, which he appears to somewhat be, then he should be able to win. And he absolutely should be able to beat Jake Paul. He's 39, which is old, but not insanely old. He's been active against the best competition? No. Getting some great wins? No. Having some losses? Yes. But with somebody with his pedigree who's fought at his level, who's a former world champion, he should be able to beat Jake Paul still. And if he's not, then I think that not necessarily says something about Chavez as much as it says something about Jake Paul and showing the level where he's at. And I know, he's not fighting somebody who's his age and who's as active as he is, and Jake is definitely has a size advantage, but this is just what it's going to be. But listen, when Jake wins this, and I'm saying when because I do believe Jake wins this fight. I do. I think it's possible he stops him. I think it's actually likely. I would say mid to late rounds. I see him potentially stopping Chavez round 6 at the earliest, but probably like 7 or 8 or 9. We'll see if it goes. I would like to see it go 10 rounds. And I could be wrong, but I definitely think that Jake Paul wins this fight. And, but I think it's really strong matchmaking from them. Should he win this, I think that he will be ranked by at least one sanction in the top 15. I really do. I think that they're all looking at him and they're seeing the money and they're seeing, how he has improved and everybody wants to see him get tested. He wants to fight for a world title. They're going to do whatever they can to get him as close to that world title fight without having to fight someone who's going to who's going to beat him. And then he's not going to win a world title, but when he fights for it, it'll be wow, Jake Paul's fighting for a world title. And Zurdo Ramirez is saying he's open to it. I would not be surprised if Zurdo Ramirez has the option between Jai Opetaia and Jake Paul next, and we still don't see the Jai Opetaia fight, and he chooses Jake Paul. It's possible. I don't think that Jake and Co. want to do that fight next. I don't think that they should, but I think that they are going to try and get ranked next. Speaking of Zurdo Ramirez, co-main event, he takes on Uniel Dorticos. Should be a really fun fight. I got Zurdo. I know Dorticos is the KO doctor, but he's 39. And he's not as young and as fresh as Zurdo. I can't remember the last time he was in like a really big, really meaningful fight. He fought one time last year. Before that, he fought in 2022. If you look at the last time he fought twice in the year was 2018, and since 2018, he's only had 5 fights. So he's not been active at all. Whereas Zurdo, this is his, third fight at cruiserweight, and he's been there for just about a year. And I don't know. I think that Zurdo is going to win this one. I think he's going to have another. I think it's going to be a really fun fight, and I think he's going to have to stay on top of it. I think Dorticos is going to have his moments, but I think it's going to be a really great Mexican versus Cuban war, and I'm looking forward to that one a lot. A fight that's opening up the prelims, or sorry, not the prelims, the main card from what I've heard that should be higher up is Floyd Schofield versus Tevin Farmer. I'm looking at BoxRec. They're number 17 versus number 18. This is a very close competitive fight. And listen, do not be surprised about Tevin Farmer going on upset patrol here. Potential. He has come close to upsetting Raymond Murtaya and William Zepeda. I think both those fights you can have him winning in. The Zepeda rematch I think was still really close and one that he looked great in. I don't think that he won it, but I thought that he looked really good. And this is another one that I'm saying, I don't know, dude, because you look at Murtaya and Zepeda, they're both... Murtaya is a fully fledged world champion now. Zepeda is an interim world champion. He's about to fight Shakur Stevenson. Schofield was meant to fight Shakur and then got sick or whatever during fight week, whatever happened there. He's never been tested anywhere near Tevin Farmer, and we don't even know if he's ready for that title level yet. So this is a very, very big test for him, and it's one that he certainly needs to win. And but I think that Tevin Farmer has got a lot of potential to get this upset. I don't know if I'm going to pick him just because it is risky, but this to me is like a 55-45 fight. It really, truly is. I do want to pick Floyd Schofield because from the fights he's had, he's looked great. It's just he's never stepped up to this level before. And Tevin Farmer, even though he's winless in his last 3 fights, he showed that he's very much still got it. And I love that he keeps on getting these opportunities. But yeah, I'm going to have to lean Floyd Schofield, but it's a good one. Also on the card, we have Raul Curiel returning against Victor Rodriguez, which I believe this is meant to be a WBA title eliminator. Rodriguez himself is 16-0-1, never really fought anybody on the level of Curiel before, and Curiel has always been very impressive to me. I'm a big fan of his. He's always fun to watch. I think Curiel wins this one, likely inside the distance. And then, maybe they try and set up the Alexis Rocha rematch, which I don't know why they haven't done that already. Maybe they try and get him, a title shot against Rolly or something, because that would be the WBA champion. I'm not sure, but I am excited to see him return. You also have Avius Griffin making his MVP debut on this card. He's in with Julian Rodriguez, who is 23-1. Only loss comes to Jose Pedraza. And, you've got Griffin there, who's 17-0 with 16 wins by knockout. Rodriguez's one loss does come by stoppage, so it's definitely very possible that Griffin wins this fight inside the distance. I think he will, and I think that the fact that they're putting him on the main card over Holly Holm shows a lot about where he's at and how much they believe in him. Maybe they're putting him on there as like an H2O Silv, the way that they were first pushing him, getting him in that showcase and check this guy out. I think Griffin's going to look great, and I'm excited because I don't know if he should be on the main card, so I want him to make it worth it. Speaking of Holly Holm, she's going to be headlining the prelims, which is crazy. She's in with Yolanda Vega, and I don't want to be that guy, but I'm actually going to pick Vega in this fight. I am. I've gotten a little bit less confident in that since the fight. As the fight gets closer, the fight gets closer. But I just think that she is. Nothing necessarily about Vega, but the fact that MVP signed her as well, and she's 10-0, and she's been active. Holly Holm hasn't fought in boxing in a long time. She hasn't fought in UFC in over a year. She's like 41, I think. I don't know how much she really has left, if I'm being honest. And she's coming in against a young and hungry, undefeated Mexican fighter who was also signed by MVP, which means they want to push her in her career as well. I think that Vega's going to pull off the upset here. I really do. And, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Holly Holm has still got it, and it's very possible, but I'm picking Vega for the upset. But I'm still excited to see her return. Also on the prelims, we have Joel Iriarte, who is fantastic to watch. He's 7-0 with 7 knockouts. You've got Joshua Edwards, who's Golden Boy's heavyweight prospect. I'm excited to see him. Alexander Gueche, who's had some fun fights so far. Victor Morales versus Rene Alvarado. Morales 20-0-1, fighting in another 10-rounder. Alvarado is 34-16. So that should kind of show you what level Morales is at when he should be at a higher level in his career. Not particularly excited for that. We also know Scrappy's supposed to be on this card. I'm looking forward to seeing him return. And then Naomi Valle as well as another new MVP signing should be on here as well. So it's going to be a really fun night of fights. It's going to be a very long night of fights, but one that I'm looking forward to. And it should be a good one. And doing that doubleheader with UFC is going to be awesome. It's going to be very, very entertaining. Also, tonight we've got the return of the bronze bomber Deontay Wilder in what is a serious must-win fight. Tyrell Herndon, who's 24-5. 4 of his losses come by knockout. He was knocked out by Richard Torres most recently in 2023. Before that, his last loss wasn't until 2019. He'd been knocked out by. Looking at his career, he's fought some pretty heavy hitters early on in his career. He fought F.A. Ajagba in his pro debut. Brandon Glanton when he was just 4-0. So he's been really a prospect tester. I mean, he fought Torres when he was only 6-0. So this is really a very low-level opponent for Wilder to be in there with, and Wilder needs to have a highlight reel knockout in this fight, because I already think it's time for him to retire. I think it's been time for him to retire for the past 2 to 4 years, and getting in this fight, I don't think is necessary. I think it's, if he's going to continue his career, he does need a fight where he just knows he can win, and to show, look, I've still kind of got it. There's a chance he loses this fight, just because of how poor he's looked. I don't think he will. I think that he needs to win. I think that he has to win. I think there's no way he could lose it. But he also needs a knockout. He cannot go the distance. He needs to show, I've still got that power. I've still got that killer instinct more so. And I think he will. But it's just a very important must-win. And I would hate for, him to get caught as up there as he is for a boxer and to have something poor happen. I don't know, man. I hope that nothing crazy happens and he gets out of there safe, as does Herndon. But I think it's still time for Wilder, win or lose, but it really is a must-win. Also tonight we have the world title opportunity for Christian Mbili. I'm a very big fan of Christian Mbili. He's in there with Maciej Szuleski for the WBC interim 168 title. I'm really not a fan of this opponent. I know they were trying to get Mbili bigger fights. I know that they were trying to get him a Diego Pacheco fight, and we're close to that. I know they were trying to get him Canelo. I know that they don't want to do Osas Iglesias, but they could have done that. I know he had a lot of options, but none of them really wanted to fight him, and this is the best they could do. Szuleski is coming off a good win, good upset over Ali Akhmedov. But Mbili, who was very active for the most of 2024, has been out of the ring for nearly a year now. And I think that he is going to dismantle Szuleski, not super difficultly. Pacheco went through him pretty quickly. I think Mbili will do the same, and I think he'll look great. And now he'll be officially mandatory with the WBC, and I think that he will be lined to get that shot at Canelo next year, and hopefully another big fight before then. But yeah, I think Mbili's going to get another win inside the distance here, and I would just hope that they could get him a better fight next, because I really don't love this opponent choice. I think there's so many great names at 168. We know Turkey said he wants him to fight Lester Martinez. I would favor Mbili in that fight, and that's one that I would love to see. But yeah, we'll just see what happens with it. Also on that card, you have the return of Stephen Butler. He was meant to fight Eric Bazinian. The fight fell through yet again, which sucks because that's such a good fight. Also at super middleweight. He's now going to be facing Jose de Jesus Macias, who's 29-13. So Butler should definitely get a win there. Arslanbek Makhmudov returns after his losing two out of his last three fights against Ricardo Brown, an undefeated heavyweight at 12-0. So they're not going to match him easy. I think that Makhmudov should be able to win this fight. He should be the favorite. But, this is the kind of fights he needs because he's never going to beat the top of the top. You have John Arobio in there in a 10-rounder as well. Wilkins Matthew, who's very exciting. Christopher Guerrero's on this card. Luis Santana, Leila Boudin against Elham Makhaled. So there's a lot of really solid, either Tiger fighters on this card, as well as Wyatt Sanford making his third appearance in the ring. So it's a really solid card. Just a lot of 10-rounders, so it could be a long one. But their fight nights are always so much fun. And I'm really excited to see Billy back in the ring. We've also got the next PFL card. This one is the World Tournament for the heavyweights and the light heavyweights and the middleweights, so the heavier divisions. And we'll just go through it right now, what the card is looking like. It's going to be Fabian Edwards versus, It's going to be Fabian Edwards versus Josh Silveira in the middleweight semifinal. The other middleweight semifinal is Dalton Ross to Aaron Jeffrey. I do think I'm picking Edwards to win this one. He looked so good against Impa back in April, and Dalton Ross to Aaron Jeffrey is a close fight, but I remember being more impressed with Rasta, so I think that maybe we'll get those combinations going. As for light heavyweights, Phil Davis returning against Sullivan Cowley. I'd pick Phil Davis there, and then you've also got Antonio Carlos Jr. versus Simeon Powell, which I'm not sure who wins that. I'd maybe lean towards Powell, but we'll see. And then the heavyweights are both on the prelims. It's Valentin Moldavsky versus Alexander Romanov and Oleg Popov versus Rodrigo Nascimento. Popov versus Nascimento is very interesting to me. That should be a fun one. And then excited to see Moldavsky back against Romanov. The heavyweight division has not been the most exciting this year at PFL, but hopefully something very fun happens and heavyweight style goes down. You also have Sergio Pettis in a bantamweight showcase against Rafion Stotts. That's a pretty good fight. Biagio Ali Walsh is on this card as well, the grandson of Muhammad Ali, I believe, against Ronnie Gibbs. And then the first fight of the night is a light heavyweight alternate between Rafael Xavier and Carl Albrechtson, who were both, I believe, in the tournament, but then got taken out. So, a really solid card, I think, from PFL. 9 fights. All 9 fights have something interesting to me. So I'm looking forward to it. It should be a fun one. And then we also have a BKFC card on Saturday. This one will be headlined by Connor Tierney returning. I think he's defending like a Europe welterweight title. And he's in with Danny Christie. Connor Tierney's pretty solid in bare knuckle, so I'd have to pick him in there. Nothing really much else going on the undercard, but a lot of bare knuckle debuts I'm seeing. So maybe they've got some. I know they have some like former professional boxers and such on there, maybe some other MMA fighters, but should be fun. We'll see. This one is in Birmingham, England. So I'm looking forward to seeing that card, and hopefully something fun happens. They had a really fun event in Texas the other weekend, so we'll see how it goes over there. And then the final card of the weekend, GBM is putting on their show that has had a lot of issues, as GBM shows usually do. This was meant to be at the stadium in Galway. That's no longer the case. It's now been taken out of that for whatever reason. Kieran Malloy has been taken off the card. I don't know why. I'm guessing it's ticket failure, but who knows. But Shakan Pitters versus Brad Rhea is now been elevated to the main event of the card for the EBU European Light Heavyweight Championship. I'm very excited for that fight. It's one that we've been waiting on for a while. Brad Rhea has been close to getting all these big shots at 175, and he's been falling in and out. So glad to see he's going to get one. And Shakan Pitters is finally getting his EBU title shot. He's been promised for a while. So that should be a good one as the main event. Other than that, not a ton else going on. Sean McComb returns on this card against Alexis Torres, who's 13-11, so really disappointing opponent there. Shaquille Thompson was meant to fight. He's now off the card as well. Greatest Krause, who GBM recently just signed. He's been very exciting as a pro. He's going to fight Ross McGuigan, who's 7-2, which that one actually could be fun. Other than that, literally no prospect that I'm even familiar with, so we'll see how decent of a card it is. Hopefully it's fun enough, because I do enjoy a lot of the GBM shows, but this has had a lot of issues as they usually do. I don't know what happened to Huey Fury, Kieran Malloy, Shaquille Thompson, Lerone Richards. There were so many names that are meant to be on this card, and only a few of them are actually ending up here, but it's whatever. Okay, so that's all the events that we have coming up this weekend. I also do want to talk about, because I forgot to talk about it last episode, No Limit had a card on Wednesday where Liam Paro and Liam Wilson both got wins in their return fights. Liam Paro obviously had not fought since the loss to Richardson Hitchens in December, where he lost his world title. He fought Jonathan Navarro and made quick work of him, it seems. He stopped him in 5 rounds. I didn't see the fight, but apparently it was a pretty impressive from the Australian. And I mean, he's still right there. He hasn't slipped at all really since the Hitchens fight. I don't think it seems. He's still, a top 20, 140 pounder. He still beat up Subriel Matias in his hometown. He's still got plenty left to give in this division. I would love to see him and George Kambosos, except for that, I think that he beats the hell out of Kambosos, and Kambosos needs to retire. But if Kambosos is going to fight, give him Paro. Make a big fight in Australia. Other than that, get him another good, solid win at 140. I don't know if he's still signed with Matchroom or if he's left them, or really they left him and he's now with No Limit, or if this was a one-time thing. It seems like he's parted ways with Matchroom. So let's see if No Limit can get him a decent fight, because he's still a very, very top fighter. And then also on the card, you had Liam Wilson return, got himself a decision win over Ayrton Jimenez, and apparently I heard that Wilson did not look fantastic, and they're trying to get him another world title shot. There was rumors of him fighting Oshaki Foster in Australia this summer. That obviously didn't happen, and thank God it didn't, because that would have been stupid. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he somehow gets another title shot, or at least another big fight. But I don't know if he's going to win those. He's never really been too impressive at world level. So we'll see what happens next with him. But apparently it was not the best win. He still won the fight, but I heard he looked poor. But yeah, so that's all the fights that are coming up this weekend. It should be a very fun event on Saturday. And Jake Paul, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Then you've also got the really awesome UFC card. And man, like, we're eating good this weekend. We haven't had a huge fight in a while, but now we have two. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm also seeing the UFC, the Christopher Ewart versus Jackson McVee fight is off UFC 317, which I don't really care about because I don't know who either of these guys are. But apparently Ewart was 10 pounds overweight and has been cut from the promotion. That is a gross amount of missing weight, and that is very disappointing. So, yeah, that's really, really frustrating, because I heard good things about Ewart, and I'm yeah, I'm really not too thrilled about people missing weight by that much, and or even trying at that point, really. Like when Keyshawn missed by 4 pounds, everyone was so mad. And 10 pounds is just ridiculous. You also do have this weekend the WBC Interim Cruiserweight Championship in Quebec. This is Michael Cieslak versus John Pascal. A really solid fight, honestly. Well, I'm excited for. I don't know who I'd pick in that. Cieslak has looked really good recently, so maybe him, but Jean Pascal has also been in great form, and that should be an interesting. I'll try and check that one out, or at least see what happens. But yeah, everyone's making weight other than that. I saw that Ilia is at 155, Charles at 154.5, I think, and just now seeing that Jake made weight at 199.4 pounds, so right under the limit. Julio Cesar Chavez is at 198.4, so he is a little bit smaller, but not terribly. But I'm guessing that Jake's going to rehydrate a lot more than Julio will. I do say that it was Jake was evidently a little bit skinnier this week than we're used to seeing him, because in the past he's been kind of bulking up to get to cruiserweight. But after the Mike Tyson fight, where he went up to heavyweight, was weighing like 230 pounds, he's now had to cut weight. And his first time, I think, really struggling a lot to cut weight. And he looked fine, and I'm sure he's going to be fine, but I could just notice that he was looking like he was a little bit less filled out than he usually is. But yeah, I'm really excited for this weekend. Not much news to talk about. Just that Haney versus Norman is not happening, to the surprise of nobody. Again, I literally said it last episode. Verbally agreed means nothing. I'll believe it when there's a contract. Apparently, the Haneys were the ones to pull out of it. I don't really care what happened. Like, all this negotiating and stuff. Like, I don't know if there's any real negotiating going on. But I hope that fight can happen. I hope Norman gets a big fight, because I'd love to see it. But I'm not surprised at all that didn't happen. And then the other fight news is that Israel Adesanya, I saw a clip of him saying the only fight he wants right now is Sean Strickland. And I was just thinking earlier today, like, they need to make that rematch, because both are, coming off a loss, and they need to win, both of them. I don't know who else there is really for them to fight. Izzy, if he wants to stay, keep fighting, he needs to, get a win, but he also needs to fight somebody that's still a top fighter because Izzy is not going to fight below co-main event on any card. He just won't. So they need to give him a real fight, not some bum. Like number 15 in the rankings. Izzy's only going to be against top 10 fighters, and Sean Strickland's right there. They have a story there. The rematch will sell. Make the fight. Make it a fight night. Why not? Or a co-main event on a pay-per-view or whatever. It would be awesome. So I hope to see them make that rematch. I think it's a really good idea, and I do want to see Stylebender keep fighting because I do think that he has the potential to keep going and stuff. It's just that he needs to lock in really, and he needs to stop making silly mistakes in his fights. But that's all I've got for today. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the fights this weekend. I'm gonna probably won't be able to tweet during any of the fights tonight, but tomorrow night, Saturday, I'll be tweeting live scoring throughout the whole thing. It's gonna be an awesome weekend. Enjoy and peace out.